24 hours before fire rained from heaven, and 2 cities were wiped from the face of the earth. The people inside them were eating dinner, closing business deals, and planning tomorrow. There was no warning in the sky, no crack in the ground, no sign that anything was wrong. The markets were full, the streets were loud. The sun set the same way it had set for generations, and by the time it rose again, there was nothing left but smoke. This is the hour-by-hour record of the last day of the most judged civilization in the Bible. And the 3 things that happened in those final hours will change how you see your own life. It begins with 3 strangers on a road. 18 hours remain. Genesis chapter 18 verses 1 and 2. The Lord appeared to Abraham by the oaks of Mamre as he sat at the door of his tent in the heat of the day. He lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, 3 men were standing in front of him. The heat of the day, midday. The sun directly overhead, pressing down on the plain like a weight. Abraham is resting in the shade when 3 figures appear on the horizon. Abraham does not wait for them to approach. He runs to meet them. He bows to the ground. He offers water, bread, rest in the shade, but what he actually prepares is a feast. He tells Sarah to bake fresh bread from fine flour. He selects a tender calf from the herd and has it prepared. He brings curds and milk and sets everything before the visitors. And then he stands under the tree while they eat. Not sitting with them, standing, serving. Abraham does not yet fully understand who is sitting at his table. But one of these visitors is the Lord himself, and the other 2 are angels, who will be standing inside the gates of Sodom by nightfall. This is the first of 2 meals that will take place on this day. This one happens under open sky, in the shade of ancient oaks, with generosity and peace. God sits at the table. Life is about to be promised. The air is still, the bread is warm. And while Abraham pours milk for the Creator of the universe, someone in Sodom is closing a business deal they will never collect on. The visitors ask Abraham a question. Where is Sarah, your wife? Abraham answers that she is in the tent. And then, one of the visitors speaks a promise that changes everything. Genesis chapter 18, verse 10. I will surely return to you about this time next year, and Sarah, your wife, shall have a son. Sarah is listening from inside the tent behind the visitor. She is 90 years old. Abraham is nearly 100. The promise sounds impossible, and Sarah laughs to herself. She laughs because the idea of bearing a child at her age seems beyond the reach of nature. The Lord responds. Is anything too hard for the Lord? God is simultaneously giving life to a barren womb and preparing to take life from a corrupted plain. Creation and judgment happening in the same afternoon, from the same mouth and the same conversation. 24 hours from now, Abraham will stand on this same hill and look east. And where 2 cities now stand, there will be nothing but smoke. The men rise from the meal and look towards Sodom. Abraham walks with them to see them on their way. And then God does something extraordinary. He pauses, he deliberates out loud. Genesis chapter 18, verse 17. Shall I hide from Abraham what I am about to do? God decides to tell him. The outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and their sin is very grave. I will go down to see whether they have done altogether, according to the outcry that has come to me, and if not, I will know. The 2 angels continue toward the valley. The Lord stays with Abraham, and what follows is one of the most remarkable conversations in all of Scripture. What Abraham does next has never been done before in the Bible. He argues with God and God lets him. 12 hours remain. Genesis chapter 18, verses 22 through 25. Abraham steps forward. He does not bow. He does not retreat. He speaks. Will you indeed sweep away the righteous with the wicked? Suppose there are 50 righteous within the city, Will you then sweep away the place, and not spare it for the 50 righteous who are in it? Far be it from you to do such a thing, to put the righteous to death with the wicked, so that the righteous fare as the wicked. Far be that from you. Shall not the judge of all the earth do what is just? This is extraordinary. Abraham is not questioning God's right to judge. He is appealing to God's own character. He is asking God to be consistent with his own justice. And God answers, if I find at Sodom 50 righteous in the city, I will spare the whole place for their sake. 50 righteous people, that is all it would take. 50 people who walked with God in a city of thousands. And God would spare everyone. Every man, every woman, every child, for the sake of 50. But Abraham knows the city. He knows his nephew Lot lives there, and he suspects the number will not hold. So he pushes again. Genesis chapter 18 verse 27. Behold, I have undertaken to speak to the Lord, the first, who am but dust and ashes. The humility is deliberate. Abraham knows he is negotiating with the Creator of the universe, and still he pushes. Suppose 5 of the 50 righteous are lacking. Will you destroy the whole city for lack of 5? God answers, I will not destroy it if I find 45 there. 45但40. Then 20. Each time, Abraham lowers the number. Each time God says yes. The mercy is staggering. God is not looking for a reason to destroy. He is looking for a reason to save. While Abraham negotiates for 40 lives, the men of Sodom are beginning to gather in the squares as the heat of the day breaks. They do not know that a man on a hill is fighting for their survival. They do not know that their existence now depends on a number. And then Abraham reaches his final no. 10. Let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak again but this once. Suppose 10 are found there. God answers, for the sake of 10. I will not destroy it. 10 righteous people in the entire city. That is the final threshold. If 10 people in Sodom still walked with God, every soul in that city would be spared. Genesis chapter 18 verse 33. And the Lord went his way when he had finished speaking to Abraham, and Abraham returned to his place. Abraham stops at 10. He does not ask about 5. He does not ask about 1. Perhaps he believed that surely Lot and his family would account for at least 10. Perhaps he could not bring himself to go lower. But the silence after this conversation is devastating, because the reader already knows what Abraham does not yet know. There are not 10 righteous people in Sodom. There are not even 5. God set the threshold at the lowest number Abraham dared to name, and the city will still fail to meet it. The mercy was real. The offer was genuine. And it was not enough, not because God's mercy was too small, but because Sodom's righteousness was. As Abraham walks home in the fading light, 2 angels are approaching the gates of Sodom, and they are about to discover exactly how far the city has fallen. Everything that happens from this point forward takes place in a single night, and by morning, every person you are about to meet will either be dead or running. 6 hours remain. Genesis chapter 19, verse 1. The 2 angels came to Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gate of Sodom. Evening, the sun is going down. The shadows are lengthening across the plain, and Lot is sitting at the city gate. In the ancient world, the gate was not just an entrance. It was a courthouse, a marketplace, a seat of governance. Elders and leaders gathered there to judge disputes, settle contracts, and make decisions. Lot has a position in this city. He is not hiding in Sodom. He is integrated. When Lot sees the 2 strangers, he immediately bows with his face to the ground. He urges them to come to his house. My lords, please turn aside to your servant's house and spend the night and wash your feet. The angels decline, they say. They will spend the night in the town square. But Lot presses them strongly. His urgency is not hospitality. It is fear. Lot knows what happens to strangers who spend the night in the open. In this city he has seen it before. They reach his house. Lot prepares a feast and bakes unleavened bread, and they eat. This is the second meal of the day. But everything about it is different from the first. Abraham's feast was under open sky, in the shade of oaks, with peace and generosity. Lot's feast is behind locked doors, inside the walls of a condemned city. With fear in the room, Abraham served God at his table with joy. Lot serves angels at his table with dread. The same day, the same bread. Two completely different worlds. This is the last peaceful hour inside Sodom. Then comes the sound Genesis, chapter 19, verses 4 and 5. Before they had gone to bed, all the men from every part of the city of Sodom, both young and old, surrounded the house. And they called to Lot, "Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us, that we may know them." Read that again. All the men from every part of the city, both young and old, not a mob, not a radical faction, not a fringe group emboldened by darkness, the entire male population. The text is explicit. Every generation, every neighborhood, every household. They came together with one purpose. Most people stop here. Most people think they know why Sodom burned. But most people have never read what God himself said was the root of this city's guilt. Not in Genesis, in Ezekiel chapter 16. Verse 49. Behold, this was the guilt of your sister Sodom. She and her daughters had pride, excessive food, and prosperous ease, but did not aid the poor and needy. They were haughty and did an abomination before me. The scene at Lot's door was the final eruption. But Ezekiel reveals the disease that had been growing for generations. Underneath it, pride, excess idleness, and the absolute refusal to help anyone who could not help them back. A civilization that had criminalized compassion had logically arrived at its final destination. Organized predation against the defenseless. The crowd turns on Lot. Genesis chapter 19, verse 9. Stand back. This fellow came here as a foreigner, and now he wants to play the judge. We will treat you worse than them. They surge forward. The door is about to give. The angels reach out, pull Lot inside, and slam the door shut. Then they strike every man standing outside with blindness, young and old, from the nearest to the farthest. Darkness falls on the entire crowd in an instant. And here's the detail that reveals the absolute depth of what Sodom had become. After being struck blind, unable to see their own hands in front of their faces, the men of Sodom did not stop. They did not scatter. They did not cry out in fear or confusion. Genesis chapter 19, verse 11 says, they wearied themselves trying to find the door. They kept groping, blinded by the power of God, in total darkness. They still tried to force their way inside. They kept groping for the door. The investigation is over. The angels have seen enough. There are not 10 righteous people in Sodom. There are not 5. There is Lot. And Lot is barely holding on. The clock is no longer measured in hours. It is measured in minutes. And the angels deliver the only message that matters. Get out now, 3 hours remain. Genesis chapter 19, verses 12 and 13. The angels say to Lot, have you anyone else here? Sons-in-law, sons, daughters, or anyone you have in the city. Bring them out of the place. For we are about to destroy this place, because the outcry against its people has become great before the Lord, and the Lord has sent us to destroy it. The language is final, not God is considering it not. There is still time to change course. We are about to destroy this place. The verdict has been delivered. The countdown is no longer theoretical. It is operational. Hours remain. Not days, not weeks, hours. Lot runs through the dark streets to the homes of his sons-in-law. He tells them what is coming. Genesis chapter 19, verse 14. So Lot went out and said to his sons-in-law, who were to marry his daughters up, Get out of this place, for the Lord is about to